My name is Nassine Saabs.
Let me ask you a question. Has anything ever happened to you that you couldn't explain? That made you feel sort of foolish when you tried to tell somebody about it? Well, if it has, you have plenty of company, as you'll soon see.
It's a macabre mystery.
They must kill him instantly, because there's no sign of struggle.
Something is killing cattle and draining their blood.
I hadn't seen anything like this before in my life.
Satanic cults, an unknown predator, or something else.
There were markings that almost appeared as if they were footpads, if something had landed.
The killer is as elusive as it is deadly.
They're a monster. It's a monstrous thing that's being done.
Modern science is brought to bear analyzing these gruesome attacks as Monster Quest works to find proof of the cattle killer that's stalking the plains of North. These vast plains stretch out under spectacular skies and are home to grazing cattle, bison, and horses. But something else stalks these grassy fields, a mysterious and deadly predator with a taste for flesh.
The lungs were taken, the heart was taken out, and the leg was taken out.
His left ear was missing. His rectum had been cut.
And her genitals were gone and her ear was gone, so I knew it was a mutilation.
Eyewitnesses describe a consistent pattern. The cattle's udder, ears, eyes, and other soft parts are cut out. Blood is drained, but there are no signs of tracks, animal or otherwise, surrounding the body.
It's about 52 years with cattle, so I think I know a little bit about them.
Buck Scotton has seen dead cattle scavenged by the local wildlife, but this was no ordinary death.
It was the 2nd of June, 87, and I went out. I always check my yearlings about every 3rd day.
The carcass of this steer was unlike anything he'd seen before or since.
The brush on the tail was cut off and thrown about 15 feet behind the animal. And then I got looking at the navel. The navel was cut out round, just the skin taken out. And then I noticed this cut on the neck, side the neck, ahead of the shoulder was about a 7-inch cut, I would imagine.
The hair around the wound appeared to be cut or shaved.
That hair was cut right with the wound in the neck. And there's no predator would do that, as far as I know.
Scotton and his neighbors all agreed he should further investigate this grisly attack.
Oh, there's probably 8 or 10 neighbors seeing this animal, and everyone figured it was tampered with, eh? So that's when I decided to take it to university.
He drove the mutilated steer 100 miles to the veterinary department at Canada's University of Saskatoon. After examination, a vet determined the death was not unusual. Scott disagreed.
He said that animal hit this sticker wire first, and the reason there was no struggle with that animal, it run a 1/4 mile to a 1/2 mile in shock and then fell over in a coma. And did you ever hear anything so stupid as that? That really blew me. I was upset.
Manor on the plains of central Canada. Marlene and her husband discovered the dead animal in a wooded pasture. The dismembered carcass was a horrifying sight.
I couldn't believe it. The lungs were taken, the heart was taken out, and the leg was taken out. Here's where the front leg was. And here's the windpipe, because when they ripped the lungs and the heart, I guess, well, they just must have ripped it awfully hard, because that's where the windpipe ended up.
The local police concluded the death was caused by a natural predator.
He'd never in his life seen anything like that. But his mind was changed when he went back to the barracks, and then he phoned back and said it must have been a coyote, so.
Unofficially, Marlene claims the officer admitted he was not so sure.
I said to him, a 6-year-old kid would know that it's not coyotes. And he just turned to me and said, you know, if we told the truth, what kind of panic there would be.
The story became really a stimulus for a lot of other accounts to start coming forward.
Soon the police and veterinarians in Utah, Nevada, Colorado, and New Mexico were inundated with reports of the mutilation and killings of healthy cattle. Theories began to emerge about the killings. The first was that members of underground satanic or religious cults might be committing these heinous acts.
The assumption is that some groups, usually they get pinned on being satanic groups, have mutilated animals in order to get either blood and or sexual parts that they would use in rituals.
The second theory suggested that some unknown perpetrator, human or otherwise, committed these gruesome murders and left behind evidence of sophisticated technology.
People would bring out Geiger counters, and even if the animal itself were not radioactive, they'd often find higher than expected areas of radioactivity in the area. Some farmers would talk about the fact that predators would not go near the dead carcass. There was something that was keeping them away. Occasionally you'd hear accounts about strange smells or an odd liquid that was found in the area and so on.
In March of 2008, on a ranch near Lloydminster, Alberta, a prize bison bull named Frank fell victim to the mystery predator.
And my dad had fed them bulls 2 days prior, and Frank was alive and well. So something unusual happened there.
Bison rancher Lee Benoit had never before seen an animal killed in this way.
Sex organs were all cored right out, and his gut was split right down the middle. Precision cut too. Like it wasn't somebody with a hunting knife or anything like that. It was a very skilled cut.
The bizarre circumstances surrounding this killing deepened his suspicions.
Scavengers hadn't gone near him. It was a little bit odd. There was no tracks, no tire tracks, no footprints of any kind anywhere near him.
Dr. Nick Nation has been reviewing the same case, and his own analysis ends in a very different conclusion.
Oh, to me, that's a typical scavenger. The anus is being eaten out, the abdominal cavity is being opened, the rumen's being pulled out, and rumen contents spread all over the place. Looks to me like he's a little on the thin side.
Dr. Nation believes the animal died of natural causes and was then scavenged by coyotes. Barb Campbell has been studying the bison incident. She received a call from the ranch immediately after this mysterious death. It offered Barb the unique opportunity to investigate a fresh case.
I checked for broken bones. I couldn't find anything. I looked for bullet wounds. I did find some strange, unusual slits in the hide in shaved areas. There was sporadic shaving on him.
Returning to the exact location of the bison's death, she found evidence that a large heat source had been present.
The only ice we found in that entire field was a circle around where the carcass had been originally found, and it measured 35 feet in diameter.
The large circle of ice had refrozen in an odd pattern. It was the only trace left behind by the killers.
There's bizarre circumstances around this. The field was full of snow. It's a quarter section. There was no tracks coming in or out. There's 14 other bulls, and this guy was 1,780 pounds, and there was giants in that field. There's no way anyone could get near. So what happened?
So how difficult would it be for someone to walk in there and like daytime and nighttime, to actually walk into the herd and maybe attempt to touch one or get close?
Well, nighttime you'd never do it, never even come close. And daytime, very rare. Especially our herd, because they're wild. They would defend themselves and probably attack.
Barb must rely on science for answers. She puts samples of the bison's hair under a microscope.
Hairs appear to be, in some of them, appear to be swollen on the ends where they've been severed. There is also something which is sticking hairs together. But this is the sample of where it had been taken, shaved from the hide, and it's slightly crispy.
The results are puzzling. Barb sends the suspect hair to an analytical chemist who will search for any clues to the identity of the mystery predator. Dr. Nick Nation has been reviewing the same case, and his own analysis ends in a very different conclusion.
Oh, to me, that's a typical scavenger. The anus has been eaten out, the abdominal cavity has been opened, the rumen's been pulled out, and rumen contents spread all over the place. Looks to me like he's a little on the thin side.
Dr. Nation believes the animal died of natural causes and was then scavenged by coyotes.
So to me, that looks very much like a fairly typical scavenging site.
The owner of the bison, Lee Benoit, remains unconvinced.
Scavengers tear them apart. They're ripped, eh? But the rectal area on Frank was cored out as if it was burnt almost, like something high heat, because it was very precision. Like, it's almost as if a doctor went out there with a scalpel.
She takes the lab results to the rancher, Lee Benoit.
And there was a chemical substance on there, 3-hydroxyanthranilic acid, 3-HAA.
Okay.
And we don't know why it's there.
This chemical is related to tryptophan, which may be used as a sedative.
Sexual deviants who wanted various animal sexual parts for sexual activities, or whether these people wanted to get the blood of animals because they believed that it would give them strength.
Dr. Nick Nation believes that so-called cattle mutilation is a normal part of nature.
Quite frankly, UFOs and satanic cults don't figure at all in the way I look at these things.
Investigate this grisly attack.
Oh, there's probably 8 or 10 neighbors seeing this animal, and everyone figured it was tampered with, eh? So that's when I decided to take it to university.
He drove the mutilated steer 100 miles to the veterinary department at Canada's University of Saskatoon. After examination, a vet determined the death was not unusual. Scott disagreed.
He said that animal hit this sticker wire first, and the reason there was no struggle for that animal, it run a quarter of a mile to a half a mile in shock and then fell over in a coma. And did you ever hear anything so stupid as that? That really blew me. I was upset.
Hardworking, decent folks who want to earn money, often in a very difficult business. So I'd be very surprised if most ranchers would get involved in any kind of embellishment. They're just trying to figure out what's happened.
Dr. Nick Nation, a veterinary pathologist at Canada's University of Alberta, believes that most so-called mutilation cases may have a rational cause.
I'm not saying that never have animals ever been mutilated by people that are mentally ill or sick in some way. What I am saying is I haven't seen it myself.
Dr. Nick Nation believes that so-called cattle mutilation is a normal part of nature.
Quite frankly, UFOs and satanic cults don't figure at all in the way I look at these things.
As far as I'm concerned, whoever, whether it's humans or aliens, they're a monster. It's a monstrous thing that's being done.